now we are going to fly and to see, talaga I wanted to see what the level of the water is, what the level of the water is. Tingnan natin how far we can go. Para iba yung nakikita ko. So, I will not land in any place because from my experience, pag nasa local government ka, lalo na just after a typhoon, maraming trabaho. Pag bumaba ako, kailangan nila ako i-welcome, kailangan yung pulis sa akin, kailangan kukunin ko yung mga sasakyan nila. So, ang dami nilang kailangan gawin. So, makaka-store ko na ako. The time will come, we'll talk to them and see what else they need after the immediate emergency support. Alright? Yes?
Mr. President, I have a question from Ms. Shayan from the
Hi, sir. Good morning. Just your message of assurance to typhoon victims, sir, especially those in Polillo and Polillo.
Well, we are presently, what we are organizing is the airlift for food materials, food packs, water here to Polillo because sabi nila yun ang talaga right now. Those are the first area that you know then after we attend to the basics, food, water, shelter, daily clothes, all of these things. And then the DSWD is also prepared. We have to provide IX for them, for those that are going to, they will need assistance. So the whole range of assistance is prepared, is ready to go. But right now, having cash is really not very useful to them. So unahin natin yung mga immediate needs nila. And then, when the time comes na magagamit ang nilang IX, bibigay natin.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, President Ferdinand Romanus Marcos.
All right.
For the affected population, 1,208 families or 4,606 persons were affected in 57 barangays. For flights, 13 domestic flights were reported cancelled, sir, and some international flights. And we expect these flights to be resumed today, sir, the normal flight schedules. For the status of seaports, 43 ports were reported with suspended operations. A total of 2,882 stranded passengers are also reported. As for the stranded passengers, the LGUs are taking care of the requirements, mga pagkain, sir. And we expect that today everything will be normal.
Yun na nga. Those 200, the LGUs will attend to them habang nandun sila.
Yes, sir.
Who's
yes.
arranging for their passage back or wherever they want to go?
Yes, sir. Our regional agencies are also there, sir, and in coordination with the LGUs.
Basically, para makauwi na sila
Yes,
or
sir,
go
yes,
to wherever they're going.
Yes, sir.
All right.
For power and communication, shown are specific areas with reported power and communication interruption. As of last night, sir, while we were monitoring the onslaught of typhoon, we were able to contact all the provinces through the AFP, and we were able, our administrator of the OCD was also able to talk to the mayor of Polillo last night, sir. So meaning hindi talaga naputol yung mga communications natin all throughout hanggang mga dinaanan ng bagyo. Tinawagan po natin ito lahat. Yes, sir. In terms of class and work suspension, all government work and school levels in regions NCR, CAR, 1, Region 2, 3, 4A, and 4B, and 5 have been declared as suspended on 26 September 2022, this day, sir. Now for the actions taken. Shown are the preparedness actions taken by the NDRRMC, which involve weather updating sessions and the activation of the Charlie Protocol or the highest level of emergency preparedness. As for the response actions, the Emergency Operations Center and Response Clusters have been activated. Virtual EOC or Emergency Operations Center briefings were conducted and monitoring is ongoing up to the present. In terms of public warnings, shown are the total NDRRMC advisories as well as the emergency alert and warning messages issued to the public. As the result, next slide please. As the result of the pre-disaster risk assessment, the NDRMC directed for the activation of emergency preparedness and response protocols. All the regions at high risk have been directed to activate Charlie Protocol, which is the highest protocol for emergency preparedness. As you can see, sir, sa Charlie Protocol, all our protocols, there are a checklist of actions that has to be complied with. So shown is the checklist of actions for Charlie Protocol that must be undertaken by the high-risk regions. Part of the actions of the NDRRMC is the activation of interagency response clusters in anticipation of the impacts of Carding. Several response clusters have been activated as shown. Also, other response clusters are on standby. For food and non-food items, or the cluster, the food and non-food items cluster led by DSWD, shown is the summary of standby funds and stockpile of family food packs and non-food items. This is over and above yung mga naka-stockpile sa provinces and sa locals. For the health cluster led by the DOH, a total of 83 million worth of assorted drugs and medicines, medical supplies, and other commodities were made available in preposition in the said regions. Also, a total of 1,356 medical responders are available. For logistics, led by the OCD, shown are the total available transportation assets for air, land, and sea operations. These assets are committed by various agencies to include partners from the World Food Program. Also, part of the logistics operation is road clearing. Shown is the summary of road clearing and engineering assets by the DPWH. For the search and rescue and retrieval cluster led by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, shown is the total number of teams, personnel deployed, and on standby. For the education cluster led by the Department of Education, next slide, schools being used as evacuation centers are monitored and supervised, as shown, sir, the number of schools. Next is the emergency telecommunications led by the DICT. Shown is the summary of communications resources deployed, the quantity and areas of deployment. Lastly, for the law and order cluster led by the PNP, shown is the deployment summary, notably no reported looting incidents and other related violence against women and children were reported as of this report, sir. Here are some of the action photos for reference. As ways ahead, the NDRMC will continue to monitor the situation and anticipate whatever needs that may arise. And based on our monitoring and coordination with the regional DRM councils, there are no pressing needs as of the moment, and the response requirements are generally managed at the ground. That ends my presentation and my briefing, sir. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much. All right. I think, as you might have noticed, I put great emphasis into yung prepositioning to prepare as much as possible. Kaya maganda, I'm happy to note that we have many assets. We have mga sasakyan, yung mga goods, whatever it is that we will need, pati na yung they're already available, ready to go. Ngayon, I think what we have to do now is how do we deploy those assets? Nandiyan na sila. Saan ang pinaka-importante, pinaka-critical? Just to get a really baseline here. Do we have a representative from the OST, Pag-asa? All right. Could you show us very clearly where exactly the track of the typhoon was, what the winds were, velocity of travel, etc., etc., para alam talaga natin kung saan yung mga dapat natin tignan na lugar, na kasi yun ang talagang dinaanan ng bagyo. And then will give us an idea of how strong the typhoon was as it passed that area, para alam natin kung malaki yung damage. May bagabigat. Okay, sure. Oo nga.
Magandang umaga po, His Excellency Bongbong Marcos Jr. po. May I present to you what we were doing during the passage of Typhoon Parte. Next slide, please. Here is the animation of the satellite that we are receiving every 10 minutes that we receive at our office in Pag-asa through our receiving stations. During the passage of Parte, this is the latest satellite, yeah, 5 a.m. that we have just received this morning. The circle there is the position of Typhoon Parte during 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it is west of Santa Cruz, Zambales already, and it's going towards the West Philippine Sea, exiting probably during this night in the Philippine area of responsibility. Next slide, please. Yes. And this is the track of the typhoon that we have been monitoring during the past, starting in 2024. It developed inside the Philippine area of responsibility, but on Wednesday, we included the forecast of a low pressure area that was developing into a tropical cyclone, then into a typhoon on Wednesday. Then on Thursday or Friday, we have conducted a press conference regarding this weather disturbance. Next slide, please. The timeline, next slide, please. The timeline was we issued first warning on September 22, that was on Thursday. We showed a generally westward track with a landfall scenario and will cross Central Luzon, Cordillera area by September 24. That was yesterday. On September 24, landfall was forecasted on Sunday, yesterday, evening with an intensity of typhoon category. Please. On September 25, that was yesterday, we updated the typhoon or the tropical cyclone into super typhoon category. We call this as explosive intensification, which is about 65 kilometers per hour increase from the previous 24 from the previous previous status.
All right. Sige. At least now we have a good idea. Wala nang kasunod to. There's nothing.
Wala.
There are
Sa ngayon
no.
po, wala po.
There are no weather formations coming up from the east.
Wala po tayong
Okay,
nakita.
so we can
Pero
do
meron tayong
this.
satellite radar image na nakikita po natin from
Okay.
kung eksaktong talaga kung saan siya dumaan.
All right. Sige, maliwanag naman yung track niya. Hindi naman siguro babalik yan kagaya niyo. Now, I think what we need to do now is to assess what the are. So can we hear from this mga report ninyo from the areas na
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President, and fellow cabinet members. Good morning. As of 1 a.m. this morning, sir, I was informed already that food packs were distributed in several evacuation centers since last night. We have a preposition food, food items, and non-food items in different areas.
how many people are still in the evacuation centers?
Sir, we were very close with the OCD, 10,000 to about 13,000 families.
That's the same as your
Yes, sir.
number.
Because of the preemptive evacuation.
Alright.
So, kagabi pa lamang po, Mr. President, namimigay na po kami ng mga pagkain, including those stranded sa mga pier po, dyan sa Batangas Port, dyan po sa may Sorsogon.
Pinapakain din yan.
Pinapakain na po ng DSWD, sir, kasi sinagot na ho natin. As we speak, sir, nagdi-distribute na po ang DSWD ng mga food sa mga iba't ibang evacuation centers this morning hanggang kagabi pa. May mga ilang problems lang po kami, sir. We need air access. That's why I told Secretary Faustino I might borrow his helicopter or airplane, sir, to airlift some food items sa mga islands.
Saan? Saan banda?
Pulilio po at
Pulilio.
yung island, other islands, sir. Catanduanes also, sir. We might need those air assets.
What's the condition there? Anong report sa'yo dun sa
Ang
yung mga yung Pulilio Island and then yung sa eastern side na unang tinamaan?
Hindi pa po nakakababa yung regional director ko doon, sir. We will be
Wala pa
flying
eh,
after
maaga
this
pa eh.
meeting, sir.
Yun, antayin natin yung mga report nila.
Actually, Mr. President, after this meeting,
Ano
I'll
yung
be flying.
pinakamalapit mong storage na naka
Diyan po sa
preposition?
Quezon, sir, Quezon. So,
Where?
it is up
In
there.
anong-
Quezon Province. Yes, sir. And then, we also have, sir, dito po sa National Regional Operations Center namin, NROC sa Pasay, sir. We can bring it to the Air Force, to Villamor, so that they can airlift it to Polillo Islands and several islands po around Quezon, around in Region
Anong
4.
airlift? What will they bring? Anong dala na sa airlift?
Mga food packs, sir. Yung
Food-
mga food
food
boxes. At saka water, sir, like
Water.
you have instructed me.
Oo,
So, we purchase a
laging
water
ano yan, yung
bottles.
tubig
Yes, sir.
eh.
Opo.
Yeah. Okay. So anong in your estimation sa yung mga areas na talagang nangangailangan ng tulong?
Region 4A, sir. Yung dinaanan po talaga yung truck ng typhoon. Metro Manila, we have evacuation centers in Marikina.
Yeah.
And Region 3, sir, yung talagang dinaanan po ng typhoon carding sa mga evacuation centers. Yun lang po yung nasa evacuation centers po yung problem natin.
So wala nang kailangan sa GIPI, we don't have to rescue?
Wala, sir,
Parang
because-
I'm not getting reports of people that need
No,
to be
sir.
rescued.
Because of the preemptive
Because of the
evacuation po.
preemptive
At saka I
evacuation.
think, sir,
That's why
because of the
effective yan.
experience, sir, sa mga typhoons before, Yolanda, Odette.
Tama.
So
That's
they
what
learned
we
the
learned from
lesson,
that,
sir.
eh. Unahan
So pag
mo.
nagbigay po ng warning ang LGU, sumusunod po yung mga kababayan na natin, Mr. President, sir.
All right. Thank you, Secretary. Can we hear from the ALG? Ano bang report coming from our
Yes, magandang umaga po. Magandang umaga po, mahal na Pangulo, no? At sa mga kasama ko po. Pakita ko lang po yung report ko sandali. Paki-load lang po. Okay. Gusto ko sana ipakita, pinag-uusapan po natin yung preemptive evacuation. Ito po yung mga preparedness na ginawa. Next slide, please. Yan po ang sinundan po namin yung track ng bagyo. Kung kaya't base po dyan sa tatlong sa listo, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Charlie, ito po yung mga lugar na malapit na tatamaan ng bagyo. Sila ay within, kung di ako nakakamali, a radius of 160 kilometers from the center. Kaya diyan po kami nag-concentrate. No? Pagkatapos, yung sumunod ay yung Bravo, which is 330 kilometers from the center, at yung Alpha. So yan pong mga LGUs na yan ay sinabihan ng gusto at tinutukan po ng gusto. Next please. So yun yung mga preparedness before. Ito po yung mga ginawa ng ating mga gobernador, mga mayor, mga barangay captain, even before. No? Ito nga ho sa Bordeos, si Helen Tan, 2 days before nag-evacuate na ho siya at napapakain na. No? Ito po sa Tuguegarao, pakibilisan lang. Yung mga maraming slides to, pakibilisan lang yung mga pictures. Ito po sa Aurora, even before, nagbi-meeting na po sila. Sige lang, ito sa Nueva Ecija, talagang pinagandaan po ito, no? Ito sa Cagayan, Nueva Vizcaya, Pangasinan, Caloocan, no? Kung saan-saan. Next. At ito naman po dito sa Aurora, next. So, at saka continuous monitoring, kamukha po na sinasabi po natin, ang purpose po nito ay para ma-evacuate kagad yung mga tao at tinitignan yung mga lugar na talaga mabababa. Next, please. Sige lang. Next. Sige lang, sa Aurora. So, yan po yung mga ibang mga litrato po rito. No? So, the DILG, ang ginawa, ituloy-tuloy nyo lang, the DILG issued the necessary memoranda and advisories to all concerned LGUs to carry out the necessary preparedness action of Super Typhoon Karding. In accordance with the list of protocols as but not limited to mobilization of barangay DRRMCs, implement preemptive or forced evacuation in areas with high to very high susceptibility of floods and landslides. On the LGU general preparedness measures, concerned LGUs have convened their respective local DRRMCs and conducted pre-disaster risk assessment PDRA meetings. Napaka-active po nila rito, yung mga chief executives po natin, and activated all concerned BDRRMCs and currently conducting preemptive force evacuations as well as informed punong barangays of weather advisories.
Nagka-problema ba tayo sa evacuation na yung nagre-resist na ayaw umalis?
Kung meron, sir, konting-konti lang po.
Konti lang naman yata naiintindihan nila na delikado.
Oho. Ito po ang naging susi talaga, sir, evacuation. Tama po kayo. At yan, pinaghandaan po pati mga tubig, mga baterya, kuryente, may mga tents na kagad din, no? At napakaganda naman ng preparasyon dahil nasanay na po, no? Yan, makita nyo, halos bago pa yung mga tents ng iba. Sige lang, pakituloy lang yung pictures para makita ng presidente. So, nag-conduct din po ang DILG, tinawagan lahat ng mga governors, ang mga mayors, at nakakatuwa naman ang mga local chief executives sa CAR, halos 100% ang present, no? Sa mga gantong pagpupulong. Sa NCR, ganun din. Sa Region 1, 96.8%. Sa Region 2, 94.6%. Region 3, 100%. Region 4A, 100%. Region 4B, 89%. Region 5, 94.7%. At as of 5 o'clock, tama po si General Faustino, yung pong number of evacuees ay nakalagay na rin po dito. Ito po mga preemptive evacuation from Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province. Ang total po nito ay sa CAR ay 758, sa Region 1 ay 821, sa La Union at Pangasinan. Ito po lugar ng Bangar, Alaminos, Alcala, Anda, Basista, Bayambang, Dagupan, Urbistundo. Sa Region 3, ito ay umabot ng 390 sa Isabela, Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino.
Yung chart na yan na ngayon as of 5 a.m. ata na talaga dyan.
Yes, sir.
As of 5 a.m. yan ang evacuees natin.
Yes, sir. Yan po ang nakuha po naming data.
Para alam natin yung number.
May breakdown din po kami per municipality, Mr. President.
Sige lang.
Oho. So, sige po. So, yan na po yun. Medyo mahaba-haba pa po itong mga breakdown. Hindi ko na tatapusin.
Sige, you go ahead. Kailangan pa natin malaman. We have to find out what's the situation.
Yes, sir. So, sa Bulacan, tapusin ko lang po, no? Sa Aurora, it's 25,358. Ito ang Baler, Kasiguran, Dilasag, Dinalungan, Dingalan, Dipakulaw. Sa Bulacan, kulang-kulang families, there are 1,985 families and 7,337 individuals. Ito yung mga lugar ng Agad, no? Yung malalapit po sa mga dam, Balagtas, Baliwag, Bukawi, Bulacan, Doña DRT, Giginto, Malolos, Norsagaray, Obando, Paumbong, Plaridel, San Ildefonso, San Jose del Monte City, San Miguel, San Rafael, Santa Maria. Sa Nueva Ecija, ganun rin po, 1,031 families and 3,872 individuals. Sa Pampanga, 513 families and 2,127 individuals. Sa Tarlac, Sambales din po. Ito total ko na sa Region 4, ganun din po sa Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, Quezon, and Rizal, hanggang Marinduque po and Romblon, and of course sa NCR, kulang-kulang 33,043 individuals. At sa Camarines Norte po. No? So, overall, kung titignan po natin, napakaraming na preemptively evacuated at importante, may sufficienteng pagkain, may tubig, at nakumbinsi ka agad lumipat. So that explains, Mr. President, halos walang fatality po tayo ngayon. Talaga napaghandaan po on the ground. Yun lang po, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So that's more or less, gusto ko lang, well, since we have the secretaries of the ICT and Energy, perhaps, mabilis lang siguro yung sa'yo, Ivan, you can tell us the state. Yung sa, the Secretary Ivan who is here, because one of the most important things is to establish immediately after a storm or the case to establish communications with the affected areas para alam natin kung what's happening, and of course power, kaya nandito si Secretary Lutilla. I want to ask what we have been doing before, even before I took office, was pag may disaster, nagpapadala kami ng mga truck para mag-provide ng Wi-Fi connection. So let's ask Secretary Uy to update us on how that's going.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Well, so far, well, I just have it on my iPad. So far, in terms of telecommunications, two areas lang ho ang nag-down ng telecommunications, as was reported by SDND. One is in the Ilocos Norte, and the other was in Quezon. But insofar as the major areas where the landfall of the typhoon hit, all communications are intact, and we're able to communicate through both radio as well as even the telcos that are Smart, Globe, PLDT. They're all working po.
How many of the telco systems went down? In other words, how much damage did they suffer? How
So
much
far,
did
we
they
have not-
to make up for?
So far, we have not reported any for now.
Mukhang ganun nga eh.
They're all able to communicate
Yeah,
po.
that's right. So our units not all of them were used.
They were all pre-deployed and
Yeah.
still waiting. So far, we're waiting if there are any remote barangays or anywhere that could not communicate. But for those areas that are in constant communication, there are no interruption. So it's still our telcos have already developed a very resilient facility where contingencies are already pre-deployed even before the typhoon hit. And we have also all the mobile communication systems loaded on trucks with VSATs, all pre-deployed in those areas, awaiting any more updates if any system goes down. But so far, good news is they're all in contact.
Very good. All right. So now the next area that we have to think about is the power. Where are the areas essentially? What is the situation in terms of power distribution? let's ask Secretary Lutilio, what power distribution, what the damages are, when can we expect perhaps for it to come back? Para alam din natin where to send generators and things like that. So, Sec Popo, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As of 7 o'clock this morning, the main NGCP lines in the areas affected show that the entire province of Nueva Ecija and Aurora are without power because the main highways of power were down. Last night when I was at the NGCP control room, we went over the transmission lines that are vulnerable, and we had identified the 69 kV transmission lines that are made of cement and are vulnerable at these speeds of winds. So the other provinces that are partly affected are Tarlac, Zambales, Pampanga, and Quezon. There is a list of the specific areas or cities and municipalities that are affected by these lines that are down, and we can give that list in detail later. At this morning at 9 o'clock, we would have a better sense of where the main transmission wires are down, and also at the distribution level. Mr. President, as of the moment, most of these are still to be determined as to when they are going to be back, and the electric cooperatives in particular still have to make an assessment during the time of all their facilities, because even if we will have restored the main transmission lines, it is the distribution lines and even the drop wires to the different houses that will still be vulnerable and or will be difficult to restore. I think you have noted that when we had the earthquake, that the problem is really at the household, barangay, sitio levels. So, but we will try to get an estimate of when, and really an estimate of what is the extent of the damage and the amount that may be needed in order to rehabilitate particularly the distribution lines. The good news, Mr. President, is that the main generation plants which are in the path of the typhoon were spared, and so we did not have any interruptions except for some problems that we encountered, especially in the hydros. So Kasiknan, I guess, is a difficult problem because there was a blockade that was imposed at the gates of the dam, and the spillway, it reaches critical levels and is now being addressed by our military together with our.
Ano nang nangyari doon? Have they resolved that?
Yeah. Sir, si
Faustino?
General Faustino and the
kaya nga,
PNP were...
Ano na naging situation doon?
Yes,
For
sir.
the information of everybody, what happened was that there was that we had to, in Kasiknan, may nagpadala ng tao para i-control yung spillway doon. But for whatever reason, the IP group blockaded it, so hindi sila makapasok. So I don't know. Let's see what happened now.
Yes, sir. The background of that, sir, is merong legal issue kasi dito sa Kaseknan. Right now, it is an issue between the PSAM and the IP group. So, ang nangyari, sir, dito, inoccupy ng IP yung yes. Pero matagal na ito, sir, bago pa ito ng bagyo. Yes, so kahapon nung nag-attempt pumasok yung to check on the status of the dam, hinarang ng mga IPs itong hindi pinapasok. So humingi ng tulong sa atin kagabi. Right now, sir, joint police and AFP ang na sir to enforce talaga yung because more than the dispute there, the safety, yun yung primordial concern natin, yung dam, sir. Ngayon, sir, on the way na, sir, papasok na, sir, yung ating team doon para iayos yung gusot, sir, yung problema doon. So yun yung sir, mahaba na
The only interest we have there is to be able to go in and control the spillway. This is not, we're not trying to resolve any of these.
Mr.
issues.
President,
Yes.
General Chiquito Malayo is here with me. The police and the AFP, they're escorting the
Well,
engineers.
I think
Yes.
we're all right as long as it's
Okay.
under control
Yes, sir.
and that we have it. That we can do everything we need to do
Yes, sir.
in terms of controlling the spillway and hoping and making sure that it's not just it's not a problem. Anyway, so I think at least for the power, we'll just have to wait. It really is a little early for us to go kasi more complicated ang assessment ng power network kasi sa yung ibang So we'll wait for that. But as a response already, since I've already identified that the whole of Nueva Ecija and the whole of Aurora have no power, we need to send them power. Whatever the prospects are na babalik na yung kuryente, ngayon walang kuryente, kailangan nila ng people need to have some So kahit paano, I guess that's where we can concentrate yung mga ano bang natin, ano bang mga options natin. We have the big generators and the small generators.
Yes, sir. I think we have to bring in generators, sir. I'm sure merong standby generators.
Meron ba tayong
Meron tayong available, sir, sa mga. Then, yun, sir, ang ipupush forward natin ngayon. doon,
Sige,
sir.
palagay ko yun na muna.
Yes,
para may ilaw lang naman lang.
Yes, sir,
Para
yes, sir.
yung tubig will flow, etc.
Mr. President, so we just made sure that the fuel
That's
is-
going to be my next point.
well, at least we have
Yeah.
all the 99% and above of all the
Yeah.
fuel stations and
have
have enough supply.
have fuel to
Yes.
all
So
right.
I think
Yeah, para
we are
makagalaw
safe
din
on
yung
that
mga
side.
tao natin. Yeah, that's always a problem. And speaking of fuel, sometimes we forget, we send generators, we don't send fuel. So make sure the generators have fuel. Ganoon lang naman kasimple yun. So at least for the electricity side, stopgap measure na lang muna tayo. And then we'll do the long-term stuff as soon as we have more information and we know we can make a plan. We even have to upgrade the
That's
the
right,
specs
Mr.
of
President.
the
yes, Mr. President, you pointed out a very important point and relating to the Pagasa report.
Yeah.
This is the second time that we have a very rapid development of the typhoon. And unfortunately, October, November, December, especially in the Visayas and Mindanao areas, historically we have had the super typhoons during this period. So I think we in the power sector will coordinate with other agencies in preparing for this. So every typhoon has the potential of developing into a much stronger one. And we have very little time to
You're right. Is that going to be a tendency that the typhoons develop so rapidly? Odette developed over 24 hours. It was not a super typhoon, then boom, it was. This one the same. We went from signal number 2 to signal number 5 in a period of like 3 hours, 4 hours. Is that going to be is that the trend? And yan na yung climate change? Yung wala naman tayong ganyan noon eh. Matagal na tayo nagbabantay ng bagyo. It's not, hindi ganyan. Oh well, okay, so that's something that we have to deal with. I saw some reports about some of the dams na were releasing water. And I cannot forget the experience that we had in Cagayan Valley a few months ago, almost a year ago, na nagbitaw ang Magat, and then nagkabaha-baha. So can we hear who can tell us what the situation is there and what are we doing? I understand you may have to release water, but how are we making sure that we are not flooding the downstream?
Yes po, Mr. President. Bago po dumaan yung bagyo sa
You identify yourself and what your agency is.
Administrator Vic Malano Pag-asa po.
I-
Mayroon po akong dito, data from our office na bago po dumating yung bagyong si Carding, nag-preemptive release po yung Magat kasi yung kanyang level during the time ay malapit na po doon sa tinatawag nating normal water height ng ang kanyang opening hanggang ngayon po ay nagre-release pa rin po. 1 gate yung kanyang bukas at 1 meter po yung height yung nire-release niyang tubig. Kasama na din po yung yung Ipo Dam kasi malapit na rin po doon sa normal water level yung kanyang yung tubig. So ang sinasabi po natin bago magkaroon ng baha ay nagpapa-release na sila para hindi po umapaw yung tubig ilog. So yun po yung ating ginawa at ay ginawa ng dam operators po natin. Ang Magat po ay operated by NIA at yung yun po namang Ipo ay sa NWSS po. Opo.
Okay. Anyway, okay. How do we make sure na hindi magkabaha sa downstream?
Kaya po ginagawa yung preemptive release po.
Ginagawa yung?
Preemptive release po ng tubig. So yun yung ginawa during the past 2 days ng Magat.
Did you have to evacuate ng tao sa downstream pag bitaw niyo ng tubig?
Binibigyan po natin ng 6 hours before mag-release po. Binibigyan po natin ng abiso na magre-release po tayo.
Oo.
At ito po yung sinasabi.
Bakit inaabutan talaga sila?
Mayroong mga critical
May mga areas na inaabutan sila.
Opo. Sa ngayon po, ang ating mga dams ay marami pa pong kulang yung iba, lalong-lalo na po yung Agad. Although umangat kahapon hanggang ngayong araw na data ng about 7 meters, hindi pa po tayo umabot sa normal water high level during this time. Ang ibig sabihin po ng normal water high, lahat po ng pangangailangan ay binibigay.
Okay. All right. Siyempre, sige, that's mabuti. At least we need water anyway. Dapat minamanage natin. But bantayan nyo na mabuti. We don't want that incident to happen na sabay-sabay na nagbitaw, hindi nag-warning sa mga affected areas na magbibitaw ng tubig. Kaya nagka-problema. You be very, very careful about that. Kontrolado naman natin eh. So kontrolin natin. Huwag tayong the coordination required is going to be important na if Ipo Dam, Magat, hindi yung basta't hindi kayo nag-uusap. Kailangan naka-coordinate na mabuti. So it's NIA and
MWSS po yun.
Salong-halo talaga yung sa water. Maybe we should have somebody from we'll arrange to talk to somebody from them para to make sure na walang problema. Yeah. Okay.
Pero paano din po, we closely coordinate with the group.
Yes. Oo. Pero hindi, very technical yung problema niyo, yung trabaho niyo eh. So you have to decide kung paano. Hindi namin masasabi sa inyo because again, it's a technical exercise. So, but you have to make sure that whatever it is you do, na hindi magbaha. That's it. Ganun lang kasimple yun. Yeah, that's what we need to worry about. All right, thank you. Sige, I think at this point we'll ask you if you're here to explain to us if there are any particular issues when it comes to healthcare and ano ba yung report natin sa injuries. Do we have casualties? Yusek, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President, and to all the cabinet officials present. Currently, Mr. President, we do not have any reported injuries nor casualties across the different areas affected. We already have pre-positioned 83.7 million across the different areas. Our regional offices, our regional teams are going down the areas to check. As of this morning at 8 a.m., we were able to assess some facilities which were damaged, especially in Nueva Ecija. We have one rural health unit which was damaged, although it was just minor, nabasag po yung salamin dun sa kanilang facility.
But they continue to function. May damage, but they're functioning.
Yes, Mr. President, they continue to function, although...
Did you have to evacuate patients out of the hospital?
No, Mr. President.
Sige.
None of the patients were evacuated, although our hospitals were on standby. Also, we have a damaged infirmary. This is a lower level facility also in Nueva Ecija, where the roof of the hospital was ripped off. So, meron isang area, sa lobby po yun at saka sa emergency room. So, nailagay yung mga pasyente naman sa ibang area ng ospital. This is just a small facility, infirmary lang naman po. And our people are on the ground already doing the repairs. We also have leaking roof in our mega TRC. This is our big isolation and quarantine facility in Palayan City in Nueva Ecija. So ngayon po inaayos na rin. We have funds to repair all of these facilities through our quick response funds at nandun na po yung region. What we are really watching out for right now would be the power interruptions because of our vaccine storage for COVID-19. So we already have pre-positioned our generators in Nueva Ecija so that we can maintain the storage of our...
Saan galing? Who will provide it?
Meron po yung mga ospital naman namin, nakukuha naman po namin kapag galing. So that's all, Mr. President. We are all mobilized. Meron na po kami mga personnel in the different areas. Our regional team from Region 4A right now going to Bordeos, Quezon to check our families that were affected. May mga dala-dala na rin po mga jerry cans and mga medicines and supplies.
Thank you, Yusek. All right. Well, I think that we may have gotten lucky at least this time, a little bit. But I think though it's clear from this, from what we did these last 2 days, is that very, very important is preparation. Get people out of the areas of danger. Put all of your assets that you're going to use pagka mag-rescue para mag-relief, put them in place as much as possible. Prepare all of the, it's really in the preparation. And that's why I think we were able to, and then the LGUs did a good job na explaining explaining what the situation was, what needs to be done, anong plano. So I think this is a good illustration of how that can really help. So that's the approach we will take always. That's why we need good weather forecast from Pag-asa to give us as much time as possible to prepare. And then, since we've done this, all of us here in this room have done this so many, many times, we really should be, we know what we need to do. We just have to go and do it. And it comes back down to the coordination between, and I think, kung tignan natin, kaya yung preemptive evacuation, kaya naging successful yan, dahil ka-partner natin na mabuti yung LGU. Kasi sila ang magaling gumawa dyan, na sabihin sa tao nila na lumipat na sila at may bagyong parating. So that coordination is always very important. So I think it's not yet over, hindi pa tayo mag-stand down until I think the point that we can say we can stand down is when the majority of our evacuees are already in their back homes. Do we have any idea kung kailan sila makakabalik?
Mr. President, depende po yun sa LGU eh. Yung ibang, pero pag yung mga houses nila are damaged, sir, hindi sila makakabalik agad. But we have enough food, sir, to sustain hanggang 2 weeks pa, sir, while they're repairing their homes. Pero yung mga Wala naman pong damage sa homes. Kadalasan report lang po sa amin, binaha, naputik yung mga gamit, damit, maglilinis lang sila. So makakabalik po yan maski ngayong hapon pag wala ng tubig, Mr. President.
Good, good. Wala pa yung report na damaged, completely damaged, partially. Wala pa akong ano, hindi pa.
Wala
hindi
pa po,
nila
sir.
nagagawa. They haven't gone out yet.
Well, hindi pa ho nakaka-uwi yung iba, sir, kasi mataas pa yung tubig. Pero magkakaroon ho kami ng aerial survey mamaya, sir, sa DSWD,
Oh, sige.
Mr. President.
Basta we make sure na kung sino yung nasa evacuation centers pa, na suportahan, they have everything, they have may kinakain, yun lang naman ang kailangan natin gawin until it's time for them to go home.
Pero ang isa pong hinihingi namin, sir, is kagaya po niyan, pag gumanda na po ang panahon, dahil ginagamit talaga mga eskwelahan as evacuation centers, we really need to have an evacuation center in every municipality, lalo na po yung mga typhoon at flood-prone areas.
Why do you say that hindi na pwede
Kasi
yung
sir,
school
pag
building?
maganda na ang panahon, may araw nandoon pa rin po yung mga evacuees dahil nasira ang bahay nila. So hindi po yung mga estudyante magsisiksikan sa ibang classrooms. Oo, ginagamit po. Kaya ang talaga pong dapat sir, meron tayong sariling evacuation center every time para hindi po nadi-disrupt yung mga pag-aaral ng mga bata pag maganda na po panahon.
Can you conduct a quick study? How long does it take yung mga partially damaged homes, completely damaged homes, how long does it normally take na makabalik sila sa, umalis sila sa evacuation center?
Usually,
In the experience of the DSWD over the many years na nagkakabagyo tayo, nagkaka-disaster tayo, pagka yung pamilya na partially damaged ang kanilang tahanan o fully damaged, how long does it take them to get back? Usually, hindi ba?
based on experience sir, tops
Para
po.
alam natin kung ano yung pangangailangan.
Kung mga nawalan lang po ng bubong, usually bubong sir nawawala eh. Usually sir, 3-4 days sir, pag nabigyan na po natin ng AIC sir yung family, nakakabili sila ng
Doon tayo
materials
makatulong.
so they can go home.
Oh, sige. All right. That's a good point of evacuation center. Well, anyway, as I said, the key to this is marami naman magkikritik pa naman tayo nito. But I think that the preparation that we did all day yesterday, just making sure that everything was pre-positioned, we had a plan for whatever would happen. We were ready for all of this. I always, you might think that we overdid it. There's no such thing as overkill when it comes to disasters. So tama ito. You put everything in place and kahit mabuti na yung sobra kaysa sa kulang. Well, all right. Unless there's anything else that that we need to discuss. Okay, I think let us proceed as we have been going. We monitor it clearly. Pag may lumabas na pangangailangan, somebody humingi ng tulong, then we will go and do it. We will wait for further information from the technical people in the Department of Energy, so that we know how we can. We have to tell the people by tomorrow, by the day after tomorrow, baka pwede na. The hospitals, just get them back to full function. And our communication seems to be all right, so that's in place. The SWD has sufficient supplies to provide for those who are displaced. All right, I think that covers it. If there's anything else, please immediately just get in touch with me. Thank you very much.